Hey guys, what's up? Caleb Downing here, and today we are going to go over the Griffin Armament Dual-Lok 5. Let's get into it. Alright, so disclaimers and everything out of the way. Griffin did send me this can. Now this one, I do not get to keep, right? So it doesn't matter if I say good things, bad things, whatever, I don't get to keep this can. I could buy one if I wanted to, which really, if I didn't already have the HRT 556, this would be a really good can to get. And this does something different than the HRT 556, and we'll get into that. So that's disclosures and stuff out of the way. If you think that obscures my opinion, then so be it, but it is what it is. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this review. All right, so we'll start off with specs, go over what comes in the box, and then we'll go shoot this thing and see how it actually sounds. So specs, let me throw them up there on screen. I'm not a huge specs guy, but some people really want to know this stuff, and this is just taken straight off of Griffin Armament's website, all right? So if you really want to look up more information, go to Griffin Armament's website and you can check it out, all right? This sounds like a commercial. This is not a commercial, but let's check out the specs. Let's just get into it, all right? Diameter is 1.5 inches. Overall length is 6.5 inches. Length added is 5.1 inches when using their minimalist brake and 4.1 inches when using a longer device. Weight is 11.8 ounces. Mine actually measures at 11.1 ounces. Material is high strength 17.4 pH stainless steel. Attachment method is their Dual-Lok mounting system. Their advertised decibel ratings are 135 decibels on an 11.5 inch Griffin Mark 1 and 134 decibels on a 16-inch Griffin Mark 1. The finish is high temperature Cerakote and it is full auto rated. Also of noteworthy, they say that while longer barrels promote longer service life, there are no barrel length restrictions with this suppressor. That is something to take note of. And this is a dedicated 5.56 caliber, 22 caliber suppressor, not long rifle, it's not a rimfire can, so you can shoot everything from 5.56 223 up to what they say 22 250. That's a blazing fast cartridge. That would be fun to suppress on here. I just don't have one. All right, so that's the specs, the data. Something that's not on their specs list is the fact that this guy does utilize their EcoFlow baffle technology. So this is a higher flow-through can. I almost said high volume. It's not a high volume can, but it's a higher flow-through can. Maybe not like a traditional 3D printed flow-through gee-whiz bang stuff, right? But this does have an EcoFlow baffle system, and it does actually have less back pressure than the HRT 556, which I've previously reviewed, and I personally do own. So it does do a better job at flow through than that. And for regular, I also just did a rundown of every 556 can that I have, and this does stand up there at the top-ish end of the line as far as flow through, right? Your traditional cans do not have the same flow through as this guy. That is worth noting. That is worth noting, all right? All right, so the stuff that comes in the box, the only thing that is not here that comes in the box is one of their blue suppressor socks, basically. That is supposed to come in the box. This was a demo can, so it didn't really have one of those. I do have one somewhere in a box somewhere, but they're pretty simple. And the only thing I know of anybody that uses them, that sentence didn't make sense. I'm sorry. I don't use those to transport the cans. I put these cans in a box or in a bag, and I transport them, use them, and put them on guns. I don't really keep them in that little baggie. You could use that little baggie as like I almost said a cell phone bag. No, I mean, unless you got a really small cell phone, but like a glasses bag, because it's kind of like a microfiber-ish, you know, cloth, so you could use it for that. But the other stuff that comes in there, you get your swag pack, so you get a bunch of stickers. You get a card on alignment. As every suppressor owner should know, you need to align your cans and check alignment, because if you don't check alignment, it's on you when you pull that trigger, all right? You also get this little card here that goes over in detail their Dual-Lok system. Now, their Dual-Lok system, in the way that I explain it, it's exactly what it sounds. It's a dual locking system. They utilize a taper mount on their muzzle devices. Drop it on the floor. A taper mount on these muzzle devices. Hopefully you can see it up here. And then they have coarse threads down here. These are not ratchets. These little teeth-looking things are not ratchets. This is not like a Surefire system or a Chemo system or some other system that has a ratcheting thing. No, these are not ratchets. So the way you would attach this is this collar right here. You can see he's compressed and these little doohickeys are sticking out. If it's locked, he looks like this. It's flush on the back. You need to pull the ring back and rotate it into the middle of one of these notches, and it will hold itself open. When it's in that orientation, your suppressor will screw on to the muzzle device. And my best advice to you, if you have one of these mounting systems, do not over tighten that muzzle device. You don't have to go crazy balls on it. You just nice and snug, and then unlock your locking ring. If it locks one way and it doesn't quite lock, it's not flush, then go to the other side, and 99% of the time, that one's gonna be flush. I think they have 120 or something teeth on here, so tons of different locking locations, basically. So however you have this guy tightened on, you should, one way or the other, be able to find, there you go, not a ratchet, a locking portion on here. So this does not ratchet. If you're tightening this guy on and starts ratcheting, you didn't unlock your collar. You need to unlock your collar. But once you've done this, this guy is not coming off. The mount would come loose from the firearm before the suppressor comes loose from the mount, because that ring right here locks the suppressor onto the muzzle device, and that taper aligns and pretty much locks up the suppressor to the muzzle device. So that's why it's called Dual-Lok. In my opinion, my personal opinion, this is the best exposed muzzle device mounting system for suppressors. It's extremely secure, very easy, but the Achilles heel is you have to be able to manipulate this locking ring. So if you have a under the handguard style of setup that you got, and you can't put your hands on this locking ring, then Dual-Lok's not going to be the way to go. You either need direct mount or some other kind of mount. But if you have an exposed muzzle device, traditionally like most people do, this is really hard to beat this mounting system, right? All right, the only other thing that comes in the box is this mount we've been playing around with. This is their half by 28 threaded, 22 caliber mini, I think it's minimalist brake. It only has two ports, one chamber, however you want to call that. Short little brake, right? Short little brake. But it does its job, and it does its job very well. So that's what comes in the box. That's the specs. Let's go shoot this thing on some different hosts and see how it sounds. All right, so hopefully you were able to get a little look there at how well this guy performs. Now, I know audio quality, whenever I make the video and it gets scrubbed through the microphone and put through the computer and everything, you can't get a pure sense of how this thing sounds. You really can't. You have to be there in person. I read the specs off on the spec sheet from Griffin Armament as far as their decibel ratings. They advertise 134, 135, so in that mid 130. That's the best I'm going to give you as far as decibel ratings. To a real quality, actual numbers decibel reader is going to be like 10 grand, and I don't have 10 grand to spend on that. These cheap apps and these inexpensive $200 whatever decibel readers off Amazon, they do not give you the numbers that you need, and they're not fine enough. They don't measure fine enough to actually give you usable data, so I may as well just make up numbers. So that's why I'm not going to give you decibel numbers except for what Griffin says, all right? So I'm going to go off what they say. For what I can say, when you're on a 12.5 and up firearm, barrel length firearm, it sounds good. When you're on an actual 16 or 20 inch, oh, it sounds great. Anything on a 20 inch sounds great, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you have to really be working hard not to sound good on a 20 inch. But that's where this guy shines, is that 12 and up. So where does this guy really shine, in my opinion, aside from the barrel length, is the fact that it's very lightweight. Like I said, I measured it on my scale at 11.1 ounces. Now, I would have thought it'd be more because it's a demo can. Other people have had this, and usually that means it gets a bunch of lead in here and it gets heavier. They're advertising 11.8 ounces. This is 11.1. So well under a pound. And it makes a difference when it's on the end of your firearm. As far as flow through and flash, surprisingly, he does very well. Even with flash, he's got these little ports, these 3 ports on the end, and then a built-in flash front cap. and it does well. And that flow through, you can tell when you put this against a normal welded traditional baffle can, you can tell the difference shooting it, the gas that comes back in your face, that this guy is venting more gas forward. The sound, sometimes you can pick up the sound a little bit different. You won't get so much barky port pop, but you might get more sound downrange. And for me, that's fine. I don't care about whatever's downrange necessarily. I'm worried about my ears, trying to protect my ears, and that's where this guy shines. Since he is, I kind of talked, well, depending on how I edit it, I kind of talked how I would not put this on a machine gun. It's not made for that. There's other suppressors for that. And the main reason being is this does not have an outer sleeve or a tube. This is a welded can. You can see the weld marks, which are fine in my opinion. But this does not have an outer sleeve or tube to give it that extra oomph, that extra durability like the HRT 556 has. It doesn't have that. So this would be, in my opinion, not a light use can. I don't want to use that term. A everyday use can. Run it through a class, use it like a normal human being would use it, and I don't think you would have any problems at all. Any problems at all. If you're going to actually be melting stuff and burning things down, okay, then look at a different system. But for the normal person, this is going to do a fantastic job. All right, so that's my 2 cents on this. That's where I see this guy being used. Honestly, a great can. A great 556 can. If you're in the market for such a thing, right? Dedicated 556 can. You can get some larger bore suppressors that you can shoot 223 through it, but having a dedicated 556 can, it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. So if you're in the market for this, you might, or in this, for this class of suppressor, this would definitely be something I would recommend checking out. It's worth it. It's worth looking at. Again, that mount is by far the best exposed muzzle device mounting system that I've used. And I've used a good amount of them, and this guy, he takes cake on all of them, and to be quite honest, on exposed muzzle devices. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think. If you have one of these, I'd love to hear back from you on your experiences with it, good, bad, ugly, whatever. If you're considering one, what are you looking for in these standard sized suppressors? This isn't a K can, it's not a big long can, it's your medium sized S designated can. What are you looking for in these things? Is it supposed to be lightweight, super high use, high flow? What are you looking for in these cans when you're looking at them? All right. Thank you, Griffin, for sending this thing out. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Watching these videos. Hopefully, I'm giving you some content to you guys to be able to chew on and figure out what exactly, you know, something's worth getting, not worth getting, you know, different qualities of different cans. Hopefully I'm helping you guys out, and if I do, let me know. I appreciate it. All right, y'all be good to be safe. Appreciate you, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.